Hello and welcome to Broadsword Wargaming. My name is Ollie and in this video I am going to talk about stripping miniatures using Biostrip 20. Now I know you've all got them, a box somewhere with some models you've once painted, something you felt like you ruined and you need to strip it down. Well, I have done a video on this previously. I did a video using a shot blasting cabinet to strip some resin miniatures. Something I no longer own. In fact, my brother Ben owns it at Renew Models, so do check him out. I'll leave a link below if you want him to strip the models for you. There are, of course, loads of different ways you can strip your miniatures, from sonic cleaners with chemicals through to brown Dettol, some of which I like, some of which I don't, but this has become my new favourite way to strip individual models. This is really easy to use. The instructions say allow 30 to 60 minutes before taking the model out. Personally, I leave them in for a little bit longer, 2 to 3 hours. You can leave it overnight, but I wouldn't leave it for a week or so because it will start to damage the models. It is a chemical, although not as strong as some other things you may use and not as damaging to miniatures, it is something to take into consideration when using it. Now to show you this, I'm going to strip a couple of plastic Warhammer models, a resin orc and a metal bolt action figure, just to show you how it reacts with different materials. Of course, always remember, do use a glove. This is a chemical. It won't burn you to the touch. It's not going to melt your fingers off if you touch it at all, but always be safe. Here, I'm just dunking the models in. Normally, Biostrip is white, but this has been used a fair bit, so it has turned a kind of sludgy grey. I personally dunk them in and leave them in. Of course, you can take them out if you don't want to dilute the chemical at all, but for me, I don't really see the point because it works just as well whether it's grey or whether it's white. Leave them in, submerge them completely. If they're a particularly tough model, do give them a little scrub to make sure you get it into those recesses, but these are quite simple models. So I just leave them in, and that's it. Put the lid on. And this is why I like it, because unlike other things, you don't need to keep going back. You don't have chemicals running randomly around in the kitchen. It's just there in a tub. For the next step, a couple of hours later, get yourself an old toothbrush and a plastic tub. The Biostrip will have already started working and will have removed some paint, but it needs a little bit of help. So give the models a really good scrub. Do for as long as you need to do it until the model is clear. As you can see, it's turning a sort of browny red here. That's just because the color of the paint I used was red and browns. Do be aware it will weaken some of the glue joints if you've got a particularly fiddly model, and that's where this kind of can fall down a little bit. If you have a really fiddly resin model, you can only scrub so hard before you start breaking it apart. That's why I advise a tub. I did this first off in my sink and lost a head down the drain and some little weird shoulder pad bits. It was just really frustrating, so the tub means that won't happen. The resin model, the green has started to come off here. Again, it needs a bit of a scrub. I do eventually pull the arm off it because the glue has weakened. I do find a strange thing is it just sometimes tints the model whatever color the paint was, so the resin will turn a kind of green. Nothing to worry about, not a big deal, easy enough to paint over, and it's at no loss of detail. The metal miniature actually strips even easier, although that was just an undercoat. These have been varnished and painted completely and finished up. For the final step, you now need just water and the same or a new different toothbrush. Dunk the models in. If you dunk them in and just that's it, or run them under the tap, it won't remove all of the Biostrip. You do need to scrub it off the model completely. Make sure that when you're scrubbing them, you get into all those cracks and recesses because you don't want this on there when you're painting the model. The underside of the base, after I've washed it and scrubbed it, still has some of the chemical there. And that's the only downfall really with this. If you have something like a Redemptor Dreadnought, which I did strip, something with holes in that's hollow, it's very hard to remove this from the model completely. That's why I think this is great for little individual models. As you can see, the plastic models strip great, the metal models strip really well, and the resin did just the same. Is it the only way, the best way to strip models? I don't know, but personally, I really like it. The orc model, the arms came off, as I said, but it is really good, stripped straight back down, and great, ready to paint again. That's it really, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the alarm bell for more videos to come. Check out the links below if you want to support the channel. There's a Patreon down there and some other affiliate links as well. So remember, if you've got a model and you feel you've ruined it, don't worry, because there's always a way to strip the model back. And Biostrip 20 for me is the way to do it. So take care.